Welcome. I think I am live and I'm waiting for perfect. I am Somah. Welcome to Affirmative Yoga, Cosmic Science, Cosmic Astronomy, Astrology. Before I do your first reading, there are a couple of things I'd like you to be familiar with. Your ascendant, your moon, and your sun sign. Most people, when they go do a reading, they're a little bit surprised because they've probably identified with their sun sign their entire life. And maybe you've been in connection with that. And maybe it seemed a little bit off. And maybe you pondered, how can my sun sign be the same as somebody else, everybody else for 30 days? And if I'm born on the 30th or the 31st of a month and tomorrow is the 1st, and yet somebody else who was born 28 days prior, how are we more in connection than me and the person who has a birthday the next day, right? Are those some of the common questions? And what's the difference between Western astrology and Jyotish, Western astrology and Vedic, or tropical astrology and sidereal? These are some words, again, I'd like you to be familiar with. Western astrology is known as tropical astrology. That's where the sun is on the outside looking in at the globe, dissecting it in different sections, and then calling, and its main directive is that of the sun. Now in time, because if we're sitting on the globe and we're looking out, there's a wobble that's taking place on the earth. And from the initial time when the Western astrology was dissected, the Earth's shift in degrees, it has changed almost 26 degrees at this point. So what used to be a sun sign from a fixed star has now shifted 26 degrees. So once upon a time, I was a Libra sun sign. Now I'm considered Virgo. If you were toward the tail end of your sun sign may not have changed. Let's take the sun sign and move that aside for a second, because really what makes up the majority of your personality is your moon, Nakshatra, and your ascendant. Your ascendant is what the constellation was on the eastern horizon the moment you took your first breath. The constellation shifts approximately every 2 hours. I say approximately because, again, we have the Earth wobble. Sometimes it's every hour and 45 or every hour and 50 minutes. Sometimes it's every 2 hours and 10 minutes. Again, it depends on the season, the timing, your location. The constellation that's on the eastern horizon is the ascendant. So whatever zodiac that is, whether it was Aries, whether it was Capricorn, whether it was Leo, that's going to be your personality in that, how you get dressed, what jewelry you wear, whether you wear jewelry or not, how you kind of look and see the world. That is the strongest influence of your personality type. Things that drive you, things that inspire you, a lot of that comes from your ascendant. Your moon, where that slice of time is in the whole zodiac, is the second thing that we look at. So the moon has different nakshatras. There are 27 nakshatras that make up all 12 zodiacs, and there are 4 different padas within each nakshatra that also make up then what's 108 slices of time. So sidereal, Jyotish, Vedic astrology is very, very to the point, because it takes that moon slice of time that narrows it down to 3 minutes and 20 seconds, brings it into 13 minutes, 13 degrees, 40 minutes. Then it brings it into the constellation that's on the eastern horizon. Then it brings it into the overall sun sign. So I think of the sun being like the house you live in, the car you drive, the expression of that. Then the moon nakshatra being how you feel. How do you respond to different situations in life? If somebody is rude to you and cuts you off in traffic, if somebody lies to you, if somebody surprises you with a birthday party, if somebody makes a meal for you and you like it or you don't like it, how do you emotionally respond? That's your moon sign. That's your nakshatra. So the nakshatra is the time slice within the moon. The ascendant on the horizon, that constellation, also has a nakshatra. So there's a slice of time within that ascendant. Was it at the beginning of that constellation? Was it halfway through the constellation? Was it at the end? Same thing with the sun. There's a nakshatra within the sun. So the slice of time that the moon was in that pada of time. It's extremely accurate to look at the cycles or the season that you'll be feeling. So what happens if two babies are born in the hospital right across the hall from each other at exactly the same time? Now, the likelihood of it being exactly, because as I said, the padas change every 3 degrees, 40 minutes. So within 15 minutes of time, you have a new pada. That creates a different way that you respond to life. And you know personally that if you had minimal sleep and nothing to eat the day before, that alone could affect how you respond to something. So the nakshatras in time are giving you a flavoring, what I would call a field of probability, a likelihood of how you would see things. But your free will shifts things at all times. So if you do have two babies that are born at exactly that same time, they both came from a different set of parents. Now, those two babies that are born at exactly the same time, because even twins, one's born first and then a few minutes later, the other one comes out. So the nakshatras will be a little bit different if you slice down the time enough. But if you take two different children, again, huge differences because their individual parents are different. The free will that they have access to, that they go home to, whether they have an affectionate relationship with their grandmother, whether they find her humor funny, whether they find a freedom or fear of the dark. What the birth chart will tell me is, hey, you have energy around the darkness. So you either love the dark or you have a fear of the dark. And then you would see what things would go off in their life. And then again, I can give a window of time when it's best to move, when you're most likely to feel studious. If you are going through a time or phase in life that might feel more stuck in the head, if you're in a phase in life that might be more competitive, these are the different dasha cycles that you're first born into and then that follow in different seasons of time. So you can see if your friends are in similar dasha cycles, or if your significant other, or maybe you have 3 children and 2 of them are really studious and one of them is bouncing off the walls with emotional disconnection and another one is very competitive. We would be able to look at the chart and see what cycle of time they're in, and then you can guide them so that they don't feel like something's wrong with them. Maybe their chart will show that they are a being of a lot of introspection. Maybe they like to spend a lot of time alone in the forest. Maybe they're a being that really feeds off of others, and it would be best for them to be in continuous relationships. And so we find out what the strengths are, the refined aspects, and what some of the challenges might be, the unrefined aspects. And as I look at the ascendant, the moon, and the sun, there's a whole lot of information that I can give you. So I look forward to giving you your reading where I will give you what that information is, but now you understand a little bit more the language of a nakshatra, an ascendant, and your dasha cycle. More videos later where we will get into the explanation in further detail. Thanks, and I can't wait to talk to you about you as this expression in divinity that you are. Cheers.